Hey everyone, I'm the Dr. Bob Lee. You're watching Open. It's that live interactive program that brings the Bronx and New York City straight to your TV set. You can stay connected to us through social media at BronxNet TV. Got a fantastic show lined up for you today. And I'm going to bring in this young man who's been on BronxNet before. So we're going to lead off with that. Our first guest is a journalist that carries 30 years of experience, 20 of those years spent with BronxNet TV as a news reporter and producer. Now, he's written articles for lots of people, including the Parkchester Times, and is now the executive producer and host of Able and On Air. It's a public access program that focuses on the needs of people with many abilities despite their disabilities. He joins us today to discuss various topics around gun violence, homelessness, and much more. Please welcome to the show, Lawrence Seiler.
I'm great, Bob. How are you?
Good. I haven't seen you in a while. You're doing many things, huh? I hear
yes,
that.
many things, including Able and On Air. Let me tell you a little bit about that. Able and On Air is a program on Orca Media, www.orcamedia.net. Orca Media is a public access television station within Vermont and beyond. It also can be found on the internet as well. So
great.
And we focus on the issues of abilities, not necessarily the disability of people. So
great. And now you used to live in the Bronx, but where are you now?
We live in Montpelier, Vermont, which is in the capital city. We're about 7,500 people in Montpelier, Vermont, but the whole state of Vermont has approximately 650,000 people. Something very small but very large. You know,
yeah.
Vermont does a lot. So.
Lawrence, tell us about your career, your time spent with BronxNet Television, and how has it helped your career with Able and On Air?
Well, okay, I'll keep this very short. It's a large story, but there was a gentleman at BronxNet who was my mentor and teacher, because I was getting my degree at Lehman College in journalism. So there was a gentleman by the name of J.J. Gonzalez who kind of turned around and taught me how to be a reporter. He said, here's the camera, here's the mic, baptism by fire, and away you go. And bring me back a story. So BronxNet at the time had a television program called News 67, which was a half an hour television news program. So those news pieces became special people, special issues, and I've been at BronxNet for 20 years, and then left and did some culinary for a while, so I know how to cook. And but then after that, came to Vermont, and the rest is history. And Able and On Air. Able and On Air actually started in New York as an internet radio program, and then I decided to bring it back to TV. When we came to Vermont.
Yeah.
So we talk about topics such as gun violence, which is a huge issue. We talk about mental health and policing, which is a huge issue. I can bring that up slightly this morning, and other topics. But we've been doing Able and On Air since 2015. We've been.
How has those the topics that you speak about impact the special needs community?
Well, mental health, especially during the pandemic. For the last 2 years, people have been stuck in their homes. And when you're stuck in your home and you have either nobody to speak to or, and then basically doctors, a lot of things closed during the pandemic. And, people are talking to their doctor by phone or by Zoom. And it's really hard, but now a lot of things are opening up. the special needs community, Bob, suffered tremendously during um, during the pandemic,
Yeah.
and tremendously. A lot of things were closed. For example, this July, I've been dealing with having to get a dentist for 2 years.
Yeah.
So this July, I'm first going to the dentist. You know,
Wow.
it's those things that really encompass the special needs community. Health is really important. Health is really important.
Yeah.
And in terms of mental health, when you talk to a counselor, even if it's for 45 minutes to an hour, and you get the things that are bothering you, that person can tell you how to deal with things the right way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you, it makes you want to pull your hair out.
We have no hair. Yeah, right.
All the things that we've been through, but you've tackled other issues on your program, such as homelessness and things of that nature. What do you think needs to be done by elected officials or leadership to help improve housing and transportation conditions?
Many times you've had me on the program, Bob, and it basically, in terms of voting, in terms of homelessness, in terms of these issues, it all comes down to money. And the problem with these issues, with elected officials, number one, the special needs community, a lot of people with special needs, how can I put it? They live on very little income or no income at all. And a lot of these elected officials depend on campaign contributions. So when a person with a special need or a group with special needs can't afford a campaign contribution, right, based off their SSI or government benefit or SSDI, then a lot of these people with special needs, they get mad because a lot of people with special needs are not being heard. But the way to make that happen is that people need to have raise their voice and raise their voice more, especially with this horrible thing New York calls transportation. That's another issue.
Yeah. And I know the last time we spoke, I think we were working on things like that, trying to get ramps put into places and things of that nature.
It's improved, but it hasn't improved a whole lot. Like I said, it all comes down to money, Bob. And when you have example in terms of people and how they spend their money, I don't mean to put this out there, but I am going to put this out there. It's free speech. When you have people in the Bronx spending $1,700 a month on a cell phone and buying a cell phone or buying that Apple TV and not putting food on the table, that's a problem.
That's a problem.
That's a problem. So people need, including politicians, need to get their priorities straight. What comes first? You need an apartment, you need food on the table, you need clothes on your back. Three main things. And if you don't have those things, or if you don't have a job program, if you don't have a job program to put money in people's pockets, then everything won't work.
Hey, Lawrence, tell us about we keep seeing gun violence all throughout our city and across our country. Can you share your thoughts on recent events here in New York City, since you've been covering?
I recently had Ableton. We recently had the Montpelier police chief, and we also had a politician on talking about gun violence. One of the biggest things in the gun violence nowadays. People are making guns out of plastic. It's called one of the things I talked about on the show is ghost guns.
Those guns.
Ghost guns. Basically, people are using a 3D printer, then going to Amazon, buying the parts, putting
Yeah.
the gun together, no serial numbers, and it's not traced. That's an issue. That's a big problem. So what we need to do is crack down on those things and take the money out of these people's pockets so they can't do that and they can't buy the guns. This is the issue. It all comes down to gangs as well.
Yeah. All right. We have a little bit of time left. What are some of the hot trigger words that should be avoided when addressing people with disabilities?
Well, years ago, they had words such as retarded, which is no longer used. It's actually doctors are not supposed to use that anymore, and they still do, especially among our youth and school kids who really don't know the word. The word retarded comes from the French word retardando, which means to slow up or to slow down. And also, example, the word handicap is not used anymore. People use it. Comes from the old adage, baseball cap, cap in hand, handicap. So
but they give you a handicap sticker to put in your window to park in a handicap parking zone.
But people are not handicapped and they get the parking sticker. This is another thing they got to crack down, and that cops are working on. The word disabled. I teach students this all the time. Dis means not. Able means to do. Put that together, you have disabled. A lot of people who are not disabled, think they are, and it's a whole thing within that, Bob.
Lawrence, where can we go to get more information on what you're doing?
Able Then On Air is at www.orcamedia.net, and also for people who want to find out more about Able Then On Air and our podcast, you can go to www.anchor.fm and also Spotify.com. You can log on and put Able Then On Air. Bob, it's always a pleasure. 107.9 WBLS. Bob Lee.
Okay. 107.5.
Oh, I'm sorry. 107.5 WBLS.
There you go.
There you go. Wrong dial.
Yeah, no, you got it. Lawrence Seiler, host, Able and On Air. Thank you, buddy.
All right. Take care. Always a pleasure, Bob.
Yes. I will take a break right here. Got more open coming up next.